Hello, this is the TradeSite U.S. Stocks Futures and Forex Market Preview for the week beginning Sunday, the 20th of August, 2023, ending Friday, the 25th. Hope you had a good trading week. Wasn't very exciting. Again, of course, summer's still in full effect. We had a little bit of an options unraveling move on Thursday, and then kind of dead flat Friday for options expiration, but that was about it. Here's a look at the dollar index daily chart. And as you can see, just kind of drifted higher, not a lot of action. Dollar index has been dead flat now for, all the way back to the beginning of this chart, which is December. So it's been a good 10 months since we've seen anything there. Pound dollar didn't do much. Forex is usually the worst month for Forex is August every year. Most of Europe's on holiday. This one seems to be no exception. The euro dollar drifted a little bit lower. Pound yen did make new highs. Broke out of that nice high range base we talked about a couple weeks ago. All right, stock market. Here's the ES front month futures contract. This is the daily chart of the broad market in futures form, which is the proper way to look at the market. And we have been drifting back down a little bit. Remember, we had that 13 sell signal back in July. Kind of violated the risk line just barely, but then we're still kind of rolling from that. So that 31.89 red line becomes the target of that move. There's the S&P cash, same kind of deal there, obviously. NASDAQ 100. Also drifting lower here. Again, we've been so high lately. Russell 2000 gave back half of the gains that it made over the last 2 months, 3 months. Kind of back in the middle of its range, right where it was at the end of the year, basically. Or right where it was at Thanksgiving last year. Crude oil also, look how flat all these things are, right? I mean, this is a good 8 months plus of data. 9 months, actually. And there's just no action. It's been really kind of a boring year from that perspective. Gold. Look at that. Talk about a stair step down. I mean, geez, look at that. What a trend line you could draw on that thing, right? All right, so then we look at Bitcoin sitting down now at 26,000, came back a bit the last couple of days. TLT, the 20-year bond ETF. Now, this is, remember, bonds down, rates up, as they say. We're seeing new highs in the mortgage rates, the 15-year especially. That's what this chart sort of reflects. So definitely some interest rate issues out there at this point in time. The VIX closes went higher at one point this week, ran into that green static trend line, made it back to about 19 on Friday as we opened down for the day, but then we came back up. We'll see that in a second here. Advanced decline ratio has been all over the map, back and forth, more negative than positive this week. The trend, the 10-day moving average of the trend is still at 1.04. Remember, it's that blue line is 0.85. So if the orange line goes under the blue line, that's a sell signal on the broad market. That hasn't happened, but we did get a low reading on Friday at 0.77. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days back is that big move, that big one up at 1.08. So after Wednesday, that means that big number will drop off, and that might bring that 10-day moving average down. So we'll keep an eye on that. Here's the interweek action 10-minute candles. So you can see last Friday on the far left, and then Monday, small gap down, filled the gap. Just kind of went dead flat, closed on a little spike. Tuesday, gap down, never filled that gap all week. Went lower. I got a 13 signal right at the close, near the close on Friday. Bounced on Tuesday, bounced a little bit on that. Wednesday, dead flat. Really was nowhere until the last hour, then started to sell off a little bit. Thursday, we gapped up. And ended up filling that gap in a drift. Again, after lunch, we were nowhere, and then finally sold off late in the day. That's probably your options unraveling move right there. And then Friday was options expiration, so we got the gap down, but you usually gap fill Fridays in the summer, and obviously with options expiration, you don't expect to go anywhere. Here's the NASDAQ futures, same exact look. I mean, talk about program trading. That's what that is, right? Everybody's doing the same thing. All right, in terms of some of our key stocks that we like to watch, we'll look for chart patterns here and also the seeker signals. Apple just new lows for the last couple of months. Amazon heading back in to fill a gap closer to the highs than Apple was, obviously. No signals there. Meta also kind of sold off here a bit. Google, dead flat. This thing's holding up near highs, which is nice. Goldman Sachs, this thing got beat up over the last couple of weeks a bit, down from 355 to 325. That's a 10% drop. I guess it's not the end of the world. Netflix, no patterns. There's sort of a head and shoulders there, but No counts, no nothing on most of these stocks right now. Tesla, um, obviously lower as well. Most of these techs have been lower this week. Nvidia's holding up pretty good comparatively. So like Google and Nvidia are the two holding up, and Zoom is what it is there. So that is the look at the markets. Again, we're still acting like summer. August is usually an up month. It's not being an up month this year. It's usually an easy month to trade. It has not been. It's been very flat intraday. So it's not really what we like to see. Usually September is where things start to get interesting. But again, remember that September historically is the only month of the year that averages a negative return in the markets. So we'll see what happens there. In terms of the calendar schedule for the next couple of weeks, let's focus on that. So we got a full week here in August. Whether it still behaves like summer or not, we'll see. The following week is a full week with Thursday being the last day of August, so that's your statement printing day. And then Friday, September 1st. But keep in mind, we have a 3-day weekend then for the Labor Day weekend. So Monday, September 4th is a bank holiday, and people will be leaving town early. On Friday, especially with statements printing on Thursday. I would imagine Thursday is going to be dead for the statement prints. This is the 31st I'm talking about, not this week. And then Friday will be dead with people traveling for Labor Day. And then we come back, and that's officially when summer's over, and things usually start to pick up. So we'll see what we get there. In terms of economic data here in the U.S. this week, there's absolutely nothing on Monday almost around the world. Tuesday, we've got existing home sales and Richmond Manufacturing Index. A couple of Fed members are speaking in the afternoon. Must be at some sort of conference. Wednesday, we've only got at 9:45 a.m. the flash manufacturing PMI and services PMI numbers, and then new home sales at 10. Crude oil inventories at 10:30. And then on Friday, we've got the weekly initial and continuing jobless claims numbers, durable goods orders. That's at 8:30 Eastern Time. Natty gas at 10:30. And then Friday, some Fed members speaking at the University of Michigan sentiment at 10, but that's it. So this is a light week for data, which isn't going to help, obviously. And I think a lot of it, we're just focused on interest rates and the inflationary stuff. And if the market does start to pick up any steam to the downside here, it could be interesting. But it's been very resilient so far, considering the rate hikes. Obviously, the Fed may be done, but the rates are acting like they're still making highs. So we'll see what that leads to. Charts as usual brought to you by NinjaTrader. If you've not yet taken the trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple weeks. Have a great trading week.